Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Bernie here along with Sean.
What's up, guys? Welcome back.
And today, guys, we've got a bunch of topics to talk about, but let's start off with football. Of course, the biggest news coming out of Seahawks was, of course, the big trade that happened between the Seahawks and the New York Jets. The New York Jets ended up trading Jamal Adams to the Seahawks for, I believe, 2 first-round picks. And was there anything else, Sean? Was it some
a third-round pick and Bradley McDougall?
Oh, no, not Bradley McDougall.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Sean, the biggest question as Seahawks fans, not only for you and I, but for many Seahawks fans around the country, is going to be, do you think that Jamal Adams was worth those picks? And what do we make of Jamal Adams being added to the Seahawks?
Yeah, so for me, I'm super excited about this. This was one of those trades that I've been eyeing for us for a long time, ever since I saw Jamal Adams was discontent. Because picking up Quandre Diggs last season for us, we got him for a 5th rounder, so that was really cheap. But he was playing at a Pro Bowl level, and we just needed that extra piece to be able to play next to him. And so, having Diggs, he's more of like an Earl Thomas type, and I would say Adams is more of like a Cam Chancellor type. So really, we're working on rebuilding that LOB, 2.0. But looking at what we had to give away for it, the 2 first-round picks, in my opinion, is completely fine. We've been really bad at drafting in the first round lately. So, we had Jermaine Ifedi, Rashad Penny. Who else did we draft in the first round? Someone really bad. I can't even remember who it is. But the fact there is we're always going to be drafting in that low or a high 20s spot. And so for me, it doesn't really matter. I feel like we've been finding, our best players in the later rounds anyway. We got DK Metcalf in the 2nd. That was probably our best draft pick recently. And so for me, the trade just made a lot of sense. And I hope we're able to get him signed onto a long-term deal, although he did say he would finish playing out his rookie contract with Seattle, and he has 2 years left on that. So that's something that we can keep an eye on too. And for this year, I think he only adds $800K to our cap, which leaves us with about $17 million still left. And so I think we're actually going to sign someone else, or maybe, sign someone to a long-term deal, but I don't think the Seahawks are done making noise after this offseason. But as far as Jamal Adams goes, he not only is going to help our pass coverage and give us a complete safety duo back there, he's helping our pass rush too. So we've struggled. And a lot of people said, us losing Jadeveon Clowney will make our bad pass rush even worse. But you have to look at the pieces we've added. Jamal Adams had 6.5 sacks last year. Bruce Irvin, who we added, had 7.5. And then Benson Mayo had, I think, 7 as well. And so that, plus drafting Alton Robinson, Darrell Taylor, I think we've actually really rejuvenated our pass rush. And I think, having better coverage in the secondary is just going to lead to more sacks. And so overall, I think that adding a playmaker like Jamal Adams is just going to help us not only in pass coverage, but our run defense, as well as our pass rush.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest cause for pause on Jamal Adams, and I'll kind of disagree on some things, is that Jamal Adams is obviously more of a hybrid, more of a run-stopping safety than really someone that, is a ball hawk like Ed Reed was back in the day. The thing with Jamal Adams compared to guys like Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, kind of talking about Lob City 2.0 with Jamal Adams is the original Lob City, is that both Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas barely had any sacks with them. We don't usually sack from the safety position. Obviously, our sacks come from our ends and our D tackles. And that's kind of the biggest concern for me, is that, yes, if we move Adams to more of a, attacking the quarterback, from that angle. But I think what made Lob City very successful, especially in the early years, was the ability to get to the quarterback fast and able to make the quarterbacks make fast decisions, which led to a lot of picks, which led to the defense being one of the best defenses in the NFL, in NFL history, that is. And when we look at guys like Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, especially with Cam had about 12 interceptions throughout his career, 4 being the most in the 2011 season. I just think that although Jamal Adams is a great piece added to our team, I think he's not going to be useful unless we get some pass rushers from the edge. And that's kind of my biggest concern for the Seahawks is, can we get that from the guys that we've added?
Yeah. It's definitely a big gamble. We're trading away, our 2 first-round picks for the next 2 years. We're really in a win-now situation. Russell Wilson Doesn't want his career to be wasted. He wants another trip to a Super Bowl. And I think we're going to have to start mixing up the way we play defense. We usually don't blitz at all. We just rush 4 people and drop back into coverage. And so what I think we're going to have to be doing is we're going to have to start, sending Jamal Adams on a blitz. He's really good at stripping the ball. He can get to the quarterback. And I'm also excited to see how we're going to use Brooks, who is our first round pick from this draft. He's someone who plays downhill and gets into the backfield, more of a run stopper, and someone who can get to the quarterback too. So I think if we change up our scheme, which we should, we're going to have to do that to get the most out of Jamal Adams, because again, as you said, he's not just a stereotypical safety who's going to be his best use won't necessarily be dropping back into coverage and then just covering wide receivers, but it's going to be using him on those blitz plays.
Yeah, and the thing with Jamal Adams, which I like, is that he has the ability to do that, and I have no doubt that our defensive coordinator will do that. And like you said, we have about 17 million cap left. In your opinion, do you think we should use that to get Jadeveon Clowney, or do you think we should use that to kind of maybe muster a trade and use that salary cap to sign long-term extensions, whether that's Yannick, whether that's, Yannick, who's been happy or unhappy, I should say, in Jacksonville, or do we look for some other pass rusher? I think that's the thing I wish that we would have used our 2 draft picks on, as a pass rushing player, whether that would be like, I wish Khalil Mack was available. I wish he was unhappy with the Bears, but nevertheless, that's wishful thinking. But, maybe we can find someone like a Khalil Mack out there. I can't really think of anyone right now, but what do you think we'll do with that 17 mil?
I think a lot of it's going to depend on what's going on with Quinton Dunbar. And so, currently he's on the commissioner's exempt list with the armed robbery charges. Don't know where that's going to go, but he was signed off by a judge to go to training camp. So to me, that kind of says it leans more towards he might be actually getting off with these charges, because the judge is, giving him permission to leave the state, fly around the country, do whatever he wants. And these are serious charges. So for me, I think we could use the money to maybe sign potentially Logan Ryan, who's still a free agent cornerback. He had like 100 and something tackles last year, like 6 interceptions and like 4 forced fumbles. He had a really good year, and he's still a free agent corner looking for a team. There's a lot of bidders for him, but that's somewhere where we could go with the 17 million. And then again, you said Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know if that bridge is completely burned yet. I feel like he might not want to return to Seattle.
Yeah, and I think, with adding Jadeveon Clowney, even though he's not the sack leader that we need, I think that his ability to kind of be a run stopper could be provided useful, especially if we're gonna use Jamal Adams in a blitz situation. If Jadeveon Clowney can kind of clog up the lane, maybe Jamal Adams can get a free hit on the quarterback, or maybe a free hit on the running back, whether they're doing like a draw play or even just running the ball. We could see potentially some great things from those two. I do think that we should look at maybe trading for Yannick. I don't know. I mean, obviously we've traded our 2 first-round draft picks. Obviously, a pass rusher is a very high commodity. It's something that a lot of teams are not willing to give up, because behind the quarterback, pass rushers, I believe, is the second most valuable player in the league, because if you can get to the quarterback quickly, get them down, they're not able to be effective, and then you're provided useful, and then you get your team a 3 and out really quick, and then the offense is right back on the field. So I think that we should be looking at some pass rushers, whether that's on the ends or maybe some linebacking blitzers like Khalil Mack.
Everson Griffin is still available. He's old, but he could be, someone that we could get for kind of cheap, who could provide that pass rush. I was all for evaluating a trade for Yannick. What I wanted to do is I wanted to get Yannick and Leonard Fournette, because Rashad Penny tore his ACL and Chris Carson broke his leg, but we signed Carlos Hyde, so I figured that avenue's gone. But they're both unhappy at Jacksonville, and so if we could have gotten Yannick and Leonard Fournette in one swap, I would have been extremely pumped about that. But I'll take Jamal Adams.
Yeah, and Jamal Adams, someone that was very unhappy in New York, obviously wanted to get a trade out of there. There was rumors that Dallas was also interested. So kind of going back to it, do you think that, like, what did the Jets do with the draft picks? I mean, obviously they're a young team, they're a team looking to kind of rebuild, but do you think that this was a good trade for both teams, or do you think that one team kind of won the trade more than the other?
I think the Jets have a serious issue that their young, talented players always just want to leave their team, and they're not able to get these guys to stay. There's clearly issues within their management and their coaching, because Jamal Adams is a 2-time All-Pro, still on his rookie contract. and he's only 24 years old. So it doesn't really matter who they draft if they're not going to have, a system that keeps these players content. I know they still need to rebuild that O-line, and they definitely will probably need a receiver. I think they drafted Denzel Mims, who could be pretty good. I know he had drop issues in college, but he's a big play guy. But they really need to start, giving Sam Darnold some extra protection. I think that they'll be fine with their current safeties. I think Bradley McDougald is actually an average player. I think he can be a starter, and I think he, has still more potential to be found. But I think the Jets, they did get a good deal on this. They got a lot of, deep picks. They got a third and 2 firsts. And so that being said, they'll probably hope that we somehow tank a season and they end up with, a top 10 pick. If Russell Wilson stays healthy, we know that's not happening. But that'd be their best case scenario. But I mean, they still have a lot of pieces they need before they're going to be able to contend. But at least, Tom Brady's not in their division anymore, so they could still win.
Yeah, and I kind of agreed with you when your first part of the segment was that obviously the Seahawks are terrible at drafting. They've had some bad luck with the first round picks. The jury is yet to be seen on Brooks this season. But like you said, I mean, Affetti, not very effective. There was guys that I liked better. I mean, even talking about this with Brooks, I like Patrick McQueen a little bit better than him. But nevertheless, what are we going to get with those 2 draft picks? Probably nothing, because we know that Pete Carroll, besides Earl Thomas, who was one of, obviously an all-pro and, potentially on a Hall of Fame trajectory, that's only really first-round pick where I'm like, that's the guy. And
yeah. We don't have a good history of those early first round draft picks.
Yeah, and that's just due to the fact, in my opinion, I think that's due to the fact that I'm not going to take, I made this up, but, Pete Carroll was at USC at the time, or just leaving USC. So obviously he knew the talent going in, and obviously he could have done, a good job drafting. But now that he's, out of the college realm and into the NFL, he doesn't really know the guys that well. So I think that also played a part into it. And I think you can kind of see that with our drafting. It's just, we need to develop a better plan for it. Obviously, these next 2 seasons are not going to really count, and this is a completely different topic. But I want to start getting better at drafting players. Obviously, it's not about the first round. Normally, it's about the later rounds to get guys that are starters or, borderline starters. But I just want to get that figured out, because I think it's annoying the fact that we have good talent. There is good talent out there that we could have drafted, but we decided not to, and we went a different route.
Definitely. So all of our viewers, what do you guys think about this trade between the Jets and the Seahawks? Who do you think won? Do you think the Seahawks are going to be contenders now that they have Jamal Adams pairing with Quandre Diggs in the back? Do you think the Jets are going to get some good players with their first round picks? Who do you think walked away with it? Did Seattle overpay? Let us know in the comments section below.
Yeah, guys, and that's going to do it for the first topic, guys. Like Sean said, let us know. But also, guys, remember to hit that like button. Also, remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Can we smash that like button and get at least 15 likes on this video? And can we get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of August? I'm going to keep pushing it because I think we can do it. But nevertheless, story.
Stu, live,